On page 125 in your discussion of international affairs, you have a reference to Australia's role in the Security Council of the United Nations during the 1973 Middle East War.
Yeah.
And you say there that Sir Lawrence McIntyre was president of the Security Council when the war broke out, and you say that political pressure and even blackmail was brought to bear on you and your government. But despite that, you gave him every support. What was the blackmail? How was it exercised? And who was responsible for it?
The blackmail was exercised by some heroes in the Australian Jewish community on the other side of the world from the hostilities, that we should support Israel in the dispute between Israel and its neighbours. And of course, my government at least pursued the expressed policy of all Australian governments to be neutral in those disputes and to take all steps available to Australia in resolving those disputes. And it would have been an appalling thing for us to come down on the side of, on one side, at the time that an Australian was in the key position of President of the Security Council. Now, if I may enlarge on this, since then, people in Australia should realise that there are now as many Arabs as Jews in Australia. There are as many Muslims as Jews. And we want everybody in Australia, of whatever racial origin, of whatever religious persuasion, to live in harmony and fruitful cooperation in this country of their adoption or their birth. And we...
Morning. Now, we have a windy day. I'm fighting the wind, so bear with me. You can hear it in the trees. It's blowing an easterly, so it's not so bad as the westerly. Now, most of you would start to realise that after this sovereign citizen propaganda, that something real is going on with this government attacking Australians, using false flags, telling lies on the media, manipulating a story. The list goes on. But what we can see here is, out of the other end of it, is two camps of people. One is the blatant licking of the arse of Desi Freeman. Oh, he did such a good job. Oh, he's right. And that camp is very large. I'm surprised at how large that is, given that he's an incompetent litigant. He's not a sovereign citizen. He's an incompetent litigant because he was using the law. Using the law. That's very different to saying that law don't apply to me, because he very openly said in the court that he agreed in the law. Right? And when he tried to use the Section 458 of the Crimes Act Victoria, he had every right to. And the magistrate said, if I get to make up laws. If you get to make up laws, I get to make up laws. Now, Desi didn't make up a law. Desi incompetently used an existing law that allowed him to arrest a magistrate. And that's where this camp of idiots is like, ah, Desi's good, wah. Then, on the other side, you've got the general population laughing their asses off at an idiot in total ignorance of the fact that they're occupied by Zionists that run their government. They still try to get the politicians to fix everything and then whine post fact that no one fixed anything because it's a Zionist government purposely dismantling everything. Now, my warning to all of you is, you created this situation. You created a situation where the Zionists could get half the country to laugh at you, and you created a situation where you could get all of the tards on Facebook to go lap up to Leslie and think he's doing a good job. Now, what I'm going to point out is the only sovereign citizens on this land are the Aborigine. They're supposed to be sovereign tribes, but the Zionist government manipulates them into citizenship. So the only sovereign citizens on this land are the Aborigine. Now, not all Aborigine, because a lot of these Aborigine participate in normal society. We're talking about the activists that came out of Byron Bay, the activists at the tent embassy in Canberra, the activists at the new camp at the King's Domain, which is an unlawful camp, and we can take them to court and get them kicked off the King's Domain. But we can't get the ones in Canberra kicked off because that is an Aboriginal site. The problem is this. Now I'll tell you a story. I went to Canberra. I went and camped on the Aboriginal tent embassy for the night, and I sat down with Dennis Walker, and I had an argument with Dennis about what he was doing on the tent embassy. Now, I wasn't arguing that he shouldn't be there, because they have a right to be there. Their ancestors brought an umbrella and put it in the lawn of the terrace out the front of the Parliament. And they've been there and never left since 1967. That is a political movement, because that tent embassy in 1967 complained about the theft of their land and the forcing them into citizenship. 1967, referendum, etc. They were forced at hand by a Zionist government, right? Manipulated, and the Australian population were manipulated into changing their constitution, where at section 127 it said they shall not be counted, because they were sovereign tribes that are now citizens. So I'm camping on the lawn there. I argue with Dennis because he was interviewing all these Catholic nuns and they were giggling at him. And I tried to explain that these Catholic nuns know exactly what's going on because they have a very documented history they can read that defines exactly what's going on because they were party to doing it. And Dennis didn't want to hear a bar of it. All he wanted to do was push his lies. Frontier wars never occurred. Never occurred. This is a false history that a Zionist government has allowed a population to create. When these Catholic nuns have a true history in a written record in their churches. In their churches. So I was asked to leave, and I just willingly left. And I had an appointment with Centrelink head office upstairs because I was suing Centrelink at the time. Right, I was on a disability. I wasn't on the dole, I was on a disability. So I drive over the other side of Canberra and I walk into the Centrelink and I walk up to the counter and I say, I've got an appointment with management upstairs. I need to go to my appointment. She tells me, yep, recognised. And I turn around and this is no joke. The entire, all of them must have got on a bus together and been taken to Centrelink. The entire tent embassy is sitting in there waiting to sign in for their dole checks. That is the definition of a sovereign citizen. I'm a sovereign. Can I have a handout? I'm a sovereign. Can I have a handout? Now, if you watch the news, they are now currently insulting Desi because he was on Centrelink. That is their defining excuse to call him a sovereign citizen. I'm a sovereign. Can I have a handout?
Refugees are welcome here! Time to clock off and go home. Easiest 40 quid I've ever made.
Hi, officer. Is this our paid transport to the protest today?
Yes, all aboard the Lefty Express.
Now, when I argued with Centrelink, obviously I didn't go back onto Centrelink at all. I have not handouts anywhere. Okay, I live by donations for doing the work that I do. And I have always said to all of you, I will give you the work for free, and if you find it useful, drop in a donation. That's all I've ever said. Now, I've spoken about Wayne and Rodney. Oh, stop bagging out Wayne. Wayne is a con man. These people created GAP Party, Great Australia Party, from a failed senator that was removed from the Senate as a criminal. A criminal. Then you have Wayne, who lost his home for failure to pay rates and all of that stuff, and became a criminal. A real world criminal. And you play party to this. Now, we mentioned Dawn Kelly, and I don't want to go into this too deeply, but Dawn raised the flag and consecrated the flag to the King in Perth. And then went on to take all that information, create a blog and a paywall to get to that information, and then people that paid for that got into that paywall and found nothing there. And Dawn said to the members of her paywall, well, it's up to you to put it all there. What were they paying for? That's fraud. She then went on to go and tell Rodney and Wayne everything she had learnt from us, and then Wayne and Rodney took the federal red and used it in politics. And then you saw Craig Kelly raise that red in politics. And then you saw Craig Kelly entertain the sovereign citizens from the tent embassy inside his office. These are all crimes. These are all crimes. Who's behind them all? Now, behind Craig Kelly is the rich mining magnate, Clive Palmer. And I sat down with Clive, didn't I? And I explained something to Clive, and he knew what I was talking about. But they took that red flag, Rodney, Craig, Wayne, and took it into a foreign administrator parliament, therefore declaring an act of war against that parliament. No wonder Craig stopped using that flag reasonably quickly. So when you're a pleb, well, you can't be the king, no. You sit at home on Centrelink or at work, not knowing what's going on around you, and then you accuse and blame people that are pointing these truths out to you. The GAP Party is a scam, right? Rodney Cullerton should not be allowed to be any party to politics. He is a evicted member. Now, Rodney likes to use the word senator in exile. No, you're not in exile, Rodney. You're a criminal that was removed from the Senate under Section 44(4). A lawful removal of you. Not making you in exile, making you a lawbreaker. A lawbreaker. Okay? We can argue whether that's a Zionist parliament or not. They manage the affairs of the Constitution. And Rodney screwed over his neighbour and ended up bankrupt because of it. It's his own stupid fault. Same with Wayne. His own stupid fault. While all of you keep falling for this crap. Now, we're going to go through chapter 42 and stop. Because we're at a point in this story where you should know who you are. And everything moving forward can't apply to a bunch of people that will not address their own selves. And that's the problem we come to. Are you going to end up like Desi Freeman and be defamed as a sovereign citizen? Are you going to entertain this tantying argument that you saw over the Great Australian Tanty? Right? Are you going to entertain people that are on Centrelink claiming to be sovereign? So I'll repeat that. I'll say again, the only sovereign citizens in the country are the Aborigine on Centrelink. Give me the handouts. I'm sovereign, give it all back. Always was, always will be. Can I sign up for my Centrelink again this week? Always was, always will be. Can I have my Centrelink again, please? Always was, always will be. Can I have my... Do you see what I'm getting at? These people are far from sovereign. These people are lunatics in a lunatic asylum being managed by Centrelink. Now, I downloaded a video. Have a listen to this. This is quite funny. I just pissed myself laughing at the national anthem. The Australian national anthem. And it's 1000% spot on. So have a listen.
Pass this test to get into Australia. What's your name for the latte?
Mark with a C.
You ready?
Yeah.
Correct. What's this?
It's one of our oldest traditions. The Australian flag.
Correct. What is the land on which we gather?
I don't know.
You should know.
But it's probably a fucking Meriton complex now.
Correct. How do you talk about Australia online?
The government comes across the limit.
Correct. And how do you talk about Australia in person?
Living the dream.
Correct. What's the motto of Australia?
In Australia, my voice identifies me.
Got it.
What?
Correct. What's an Australian icon?
Yeast extract.
Too right, mate. What's this country based on?
Immigration.
What are people protesting about right now?
Immigration.
Correct. And what do you do after protesting the immigration?
Enjoy a succulent Chinese meal.
Correct. What's the deadliest animal in Australia?
The inland taipan.
No.
It's got to be spiders.
No.
Really? The blue-ringed octopus.
No.
Crocs.
Despite what Bob Catter says, no.
I don't know. The cow.
Correct.
Really?
Yeah, that and ladders.
Ladders kill... Oh, so snakes and ladders should be the other way around.
Correct. What's the time?
The East Coast are all on the same time zone, except in summer when Queensland decides to be different. Darwin and South Australia are 30 minutes behind, and if you're in the east and thinking about over west, they're probably asleep.
Correct. What's the national dish?
A $2 Bunnings snack.
Correct. And how much is it?
$4.50.
Correct. What's the national sport?
Waiting for things.
Correct. The national anthem? What a bop. Correct. What unites Australians across the country?
Bloody buying tickets on Ticketmart, ticketing. Come to my show. Tickets on sale now through you know who.
Correct. How do Australians figure out their tax?
You wait for the tax office to yell at you.
Correct. What is more plastic than a Coles green bag?
Maths contestants.
Correct. The most famous Australian personalities?
Maths contestants.
Correct. With the most influence?
Maths contestants.
Strangely correct. Why is it called Down Under?
Because we're down the bottom and we're always the underdog.
Correct. Who invented the pavlova?
Don't you dare let anyone tell you that it was the Kiwis, okay? It's Australian through and through.
Yeah, right. What do you put on top of your pavlova?
Kiwi fruit.
Correct. Where's kiwi fruit from?
China.
That's correct. What's the local currency?
Tolls.
Correct. And what's an example of unique Australian humour?
The Harold Holt Memorial Swimming Centre, named after a Prime Minister who drowned.
Correct. What's the state of origin in the noughties?
Blockbuster versus Video Easy.
How do Australians learn about drugs and alcohol?
A talking giraffe lures them into a white van.
Biggest export?
Natural gas.
Correct. Biggest import?
Natural gas.
Correct, mate. And finally, which way does the toilet water swirl?
Mate, we're not the US. We don't have a koi pond in our toilets. We've got a hybrid siphon jet system, okay? It doesn't swirl, it just goes straight down. Maximum suction, minimum water. It makes your disappear faster than Harold Holt.
Correct, mate. Well, you passed the test, and by law, I've got to give you a beer, a latte with one, a meat pie, some thongs, and some really bad free-to-air TV.
Oh, sorry, mate. I gotta go.
Where you going?
Drop a koi off at the pond.
All right, off you go, mate. Send that to Queensland.
Right? Do you see your country now has fallen? Because you keep believing in a Zionist administrator that's pulling it apart on purpose. Because as a people, you just won't stand up for yourselves. You keep playing this stupid Desi game. And it's time you realised it now. I am of the full belief that they've murdered him. I'm of the full belief that those officers are crisis actors. I'm also of the full belief that they are hunting no one down in a bid to push the propaganda. I believe he's already dead. I believe he's already been assassinated by the police. A militarized police force that works for the United Nations. And if you haven't worked this out yet, it's about fucking time you did. They don't serve this country. They're not inside their oath, right? They serve The Hague and the United Nations. All those ones wearing turtle shell with round shields are the United Nations. That is all United Nations issue equipment. All of it.
The protest, called March for Australia, stormed its way to Parliament House and faced a lineup of the riot squad and police.
So we're going to go on with 42 now. Behold, my servant, whom I uphold, mine elect, in whom my soul delighteth. I have put my spirit upon him. He shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles, to the citizens of foreign machine. Right, so it's talking about me, the servant, the king, whom I uphold through the scripture, right, and define something at law. Mine elect, in whom my soul delighteth. Because I figured all of this out. I put it on the record. He shall bring forth judgment to the tards, to the Gentiles, to the citizens, to the goy, to the bonded slaves of a banking machine in your land. He shall not cry, nor lift up, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. We don't tanty in the streets like little children whining at a government. We have no need to. We are grown up and can do the business affairs of all of this.
The city centre. Outnumbered and under pressure, police officers caught in the middle. Thousands turning out, despite Premier Jacinta Allen condemning the march, labelling it un-Australian.
We don't need to tanty at a government and whine, please Albo's a criminal. Is he? Or are you corrupted? Are you corrupted into citizenship? A bruised reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench. He shall bring forth judgment in truth. The truth in your Anzac, the truth in the English lineage before your Anzac, the truth in history, the truth at law, the truth in the foundations of your constitution at law, right?
You know, if I had a rock, I would throw it at you right now. Stop pissing me off. Just sit down. I'll take care of it. I don't need your help.
No, I'm the public defender. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to stand and represent
sit
my
down.
clients.
If you want to fight, let's go out back, and I'll just beat
Let's go
your
out.
ass.
He shall not fail, nor be discouraged. Well, why is he still doing that? Because I'm standing in the truth and I don't need to change my ways. I need to wake you up to realise what you're doing is serving a foreign power in your lands with their blue ensign with 7-pointed star. An administrator administering you out of everything. Pauline Hanson is conning you right now. Till he hath set judgment in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his law. Now we're about to establish that, aren't we? When we charge Pauline, and those paperworks are coming together very nicely, Pauline. Right, so if any of you have evidence against Pauline, nakedowners@gmail.com. nakedowners@gmail.com. Forward your evidence of all Pauline's crimes. We'll put them all in one document and charge her in the federal court. Right, but those documents are coming together, Pauline. Thus saith God, the Lord, capital G, lowercase, all caps, Lord. He that created the heavens and stretched them out, he that spread forth the earth, and that which cometh out of it, he that giveth breath unto a people on it, and spirit to them that walk therein. That would be the king that the Bible is talking to. So it's talking to me, having done all these things. Having done all these things. I, the Lord, all caps, have called thee in righteousness, and will hold thine hand, and will keep thee, and give thee for a covenant of the people, for a light of the Gentiles. Come home, my friends. Come home, my brothers. All you brothers and sisters realize what's going on. A light for the Gentiles. And what's happened over the last 20 years with all you lawtards, we won't call you sovereign citizens because you're incompetent litigants. We call you lawtards. Have been smacking your head on the porch light instead of going through the door. Oh no, there's a better way. Smack, 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 smack into the light at the porch, instead of walking through the door with God.
What's up, young white boy, my fellow brethren? This video is for you. A little bit about myself. If you haven't seen me before, my name's Cameron Howes. The last month I've been posting videos trying to tell the truth. And this is one of my truths. And I'm addressing it to young white boys because that's who I'm talking to. A lot of people have been calling me a great dad, a great person. Tell your truth, man. Yeah, you're authentic, man. I love your content. I'm assuming some of that's going to flip now. But be careful what you wish for. I want to talk to white boys because there's never any white boys talking to white boys. Unfortunately, all of the dialogue around any rational thought around culture or race in this country has to be had by someone that doesn't look like me. Because apparently me and you, we're the worst people in the world, right? Wrong. Very, very wrong. They tell us in this country that multiculturalism is our greatest strength. Oh, really? Multiculturalism is my greatest strength. Let's unpack that. You know what that means? That means that, young white boy, your greatest strength is that there aren't that many of you. That there's different people that make you stronger. No, young white boy, that's wrong. What makes you great and what makes you special and what should make you proud is that you're a white boy and you come from a country built by white boys. See those roads? You can't. There's roads over there, right? They were paved by white boys. The farms behind them, they were cultivated by white boys. The shores, defended by white boys. Never let them tell you multiculturalism crept into World War II. In World War II, multiculturalism wasn't our greatest strength. It was the fucking dudes fighting on the shores and dying for the people back home, which were predominantly and the majority white boys. Now, you've been told your whole life you can't be proud of who you are because you ain't black and you held slaves apparently. Well, number one, so did everybody. We, the white boy, was the one to outlaw slavery, mind you. That is how empathetic you are, my friend. That is how special you are. That is how good you are. You, my young friend, are Hemingway. You can write stories and create worlds and articulate visions that captivate every human on earth. You are Beethoven, my young friend. You can write symphonies. You are Winston Churchill, my young friend. You will fight on the shores. You will fight in the trenches. You will fight everywhere. You will never give in and you will never surrender. That is who you come from. When the weight of the world is stacked against you and all of the walls are crashing in, you endure. That is who you are. The economy that we prosper from every day, a man created that looked just like you, Adam Smith, and the Wealth of Nations. You, my young friend, are a world builder. I my young friend. Me, I am special. I am great because I come from great men. I am not ashamed of the men I come from, nor have I ever been, nor will I ever be. My dad transported goods up and down this East Coast and helped build this country. My father is a world builder. He is one of the most fierce and industrious men I've ever met, and I will never be ashamed of him because of the colour of his skin or the bluish tint of his eyes. And that's who you are, my friend. You are a warrior, a poet, an artist, an empathetic individual that comes from a line of people that should be lauded, but are disgraced. Do you know our people from England, our people from Western Europe, but let's talk about England, because that's where the vast majority of us will have ties to. Do you know we were subjugated, we were slaves, for longer than the people that they're telling you to feel sorry for? We, for 500 years, endured the Dark Ages when Rome left us with f***ing pitchforks to defend ourselves. We had no weapons, no currency, and no infrastructure because our occupiers, those that made us slaves, serfs, in our own kingdom, left because they were losing their own. We fought off for 500 years 6'5" behemoths from Scandinavia, and we didn't always win, but you know what I'm most proud of? It's never the winning. We endured. We assimilated. We appropriated, and then we f***ing took back over. And do you know what ensued from that? Do you know what came after 500 years of deprivation, torture, death, famine? Do you know what came from it? The greatest dynasty that has ever been in existence, that will ever be known, the English Empire. We controlled the fucking ocean. We controlled everything. We took over everything. We were demolished for 1,000 years. We were serfs for 1,000 years. And we endured for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. You want me not to make a video because they're going to call me racist? I come from people that endured for 1,000 fucking years. 1,000 years we endured, and we took everything back, plus some. You know how small England is? For 1,000 years after those 1,000 years of torment, for 1,000 years we defended those shorelines. We won 2 world fucking wars, 2 of them. Another great story, I was listening to a podcast, and I'm listening to the guy who was a Yank talk about it, you know, the people that were most involved, the Germans, the French Secret Service, and all of these crazy warriors, who I respect. And you know who he said the most fearsome warriors were at the time? My young white brethren that has been told to be ashamed of himself. Do you know who were the most fearsome? It wasn't the Nazis, it wasn't the North Africans, or the Greeks, or the Turks. It was us. And you know why? Because no matter how many fucking shells you dropped, no matter how many times you tried to kill us, no matter how many men you had, no matter how certain death was for us, do you know what they heard come out of our trenches? The most blood-curdling, gut-wrenching, fearsome sound to ever grace a battlefield was the fucking laughter of an Australian larrikin, because you cannot beat us. We are too strong, too proud, we are too smart and too resilient. And right now in Australia, we are being told to apologise for ourselves, to apologise for those men? No, thank you. No, I am proud of those men. Every single nation, I will open the debate for anyone who can show me a group of people that have never committed a travesty in the name of their people, culture, religion, whatever. You can't find one. I will never entertain a conversation about how bad those men were unless we first admit how great they were and how proud we should be to come from them. Young white boy out there, I tell you, I implore young white men out there to see the bug in the system, which is your empathy. We thought our empathy was a feature. Our empathy saved slaves. Our empathy built the modern world. The white man built the epicenter of modern civilization. Everyone wants to live next to us, but no one will admit it. And what's worse is they want you to apologize for it.
To open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. So did we not discuss the rules of engagement and the technical classification of prisoner of war? Would all those prisoners be the citizens of a foreign power? to open the blind eyes. Well, we've been trying that for 20 years and you keep fighting against it instead of joining in and standing up with us. I am the Lord, all caps. That is my name, and my glory will I not give to another. Neither my praise to graven images. All those police badges, all those army badges, graven images, all those obelisks in your town dedicated to your ancestry, to your crown, to your dead, that you disregard to go and play blue ensign with a 7-pointed star, ward of state, Gentile goy of a foreign power. Please, guys, some more. Always, always, please, sir. Guys, some more. It's ironic, isn't it? It's completely ironic, isn't it? Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. I tell you of them. Now, I warned you about the march. I keep warning you in advance these things are occurring. I keep warning you what a sovereign citizen is. I keep warning you about that cretin David Halpin that broke the law. I keep warning you that these magistrates don't serve you, they serve a bank. I keep warning all of you, but do you heed the words or hear? No. You think you can law-tard your way out all the time.
I think that there needs to be an apology first and foremost, and then of course reparations.
Britain doesn't owe a single penny or an apology. We have apologised in 1840. We spent £20 million, a sum equivalent to £20 billion today, 43% of our entire budget freeing the slaves in 1833. Slavery was horrific. The horrors that were endured by the slaves, certainly if they were alive today, they would deserve reparations. And if we had this discussion 200 years ago, I would be in favour of reparations. But the reality is there are no victims of British Empire slavery alive today. In fact, the descendants of slaves today are far better off and have a far higher quality of life than if their ancestors had never left West Africa. Iman, you're not a victim of slavery. You made actually quite a nice life out of talking about slavery, and you wouldn't be here on national TV discussing this were you not a descendant of a slave.
Sing unto the Lord, all caps, a new song, and his praise from the end of the earth. Ye that go down to the sea, and all that is therein, the isles and the inhabitants thereof. Now, if we go to Genesis 1:9, lifting the holy ground up out of international waters. It's like rising Atlantis again out of the waters, right? Plato's story of God. It's recovering from being in the seas with your blue ensign, an Admiralty flag that was told by Admiralty Orders 1936 not to be flown on land. It is a naval wartime flag. And to all you idiots flying a civil merchant ensign with a 7-pointed star, why are you flying a ship's flag? Are you at seas? Are you lost at holy seas, manipulated by a foreign power in government? Seems so, because you don't know anything about the 4 different flags your country has. And Pauline Hanson's like, one flag, one nation. Well, what about your Admiralty, Pauline? One flag? What's the white ensign? One flag? What's a civil merchant ensign? What do these 3 things signify? Signify. What do these 3 signify, Pauline? One's a civil merchant flag, one's a peacetime naval flag, one's a wartime naval flag. They're all of the seas. And if we raise the land out of those waters, why would we fly a ship's flag on land while under Hague for war on land land warfare, which is what your Anzac participated in under a federal red standard. Ensigns are only flown on the seas. So you start to see that Pauline is a manipulating Zionist, conning everyone into being the goy of those Zionists, while those Zionists lie to you about the foundations of your country in God. And Pauline's helping them by serving Israel. She displayed that very clearly on the Senate floor.
First of all, I want to say a lot of people in the world, they thinking there is war. War we call when one army fight with another army. This is called war. But when one army smashing just regular people, this is not war. For example, if I go to the street and fight with someone who never do this is not fair, this is not fight. Same thing happening there. They close the border and they bombing 2.5 million people inside, like very small, like Manhattan Island, like this place. Can you imagine right now they close the Manhattan and bombing Manhattan and everybody silent? This is not war, this is genocide. And you don't have to be Muslim to support this. You have to be just regular human. Can you imagine 100 kids dying without food, nothing, like even water? And these people who doing this, they talk about fair. Okay, if you guys have problem with some organizations, go and deal with them. But what about 2.5 million people? You guys bombing. This is not war. People have to understand this is real genocide in front of 8 billion people's eyes.
Let the wilderness and the cities thereof lift up their voice. The villages that Kedar doth inhabit. Let the inhabitants of my rock sing. Let them shout from the top of the mountains. Now, mountains are cities, hills are towns. The wilderness is this unseen land that is occupied, where all the people have blinkers on and only see the occupation. The wilderness. Right, so sing thee a new song. Lift up your voices in your cities and towns. Go complain at your Lord Mayor that he keeps borrowing money from a foreign occupying power and national government in your land. Let them give glory unto the Lord, all caps, and declare his praise in the islands, all those towns and cities across the country. Right? Let them shout from the top of the mountains. Let the inhabitants of the rock sing. The stone of remembrance, the anchor point for your Anzac, the foundation and cornerstone of the realm. Right? Sing for that. We sing for our lineage, our truth. We don't sing for a foreign power that occupies that truth. Right? Declare his praise through a king into God, holding a kingdom of which you are all the subjects of. We are all brothers together. When you think about a king, think about the executor and the board of directors in a company. They drive that company, right? Now, I'm not saying you're all employees, because the freedom with God came with that. Here are the rules of that kingdom, right? Here are the rules of the kingdom. So underneath this, you agreed to abide by a constitution in the lineage of your Anzac, not in the lineage of a foreign power that came here in 1967 and lowered your Admiralty flags and raised their own. 1954 Flags Act, 1967 lowering of the white ensign with the red cross on it. Let them give glory unto the Lord and declare his praise in the islands. The Lord, all caps, shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. You're not us. You serve a foreign power in our lands. Is that an act of treason, or are you in allegiance to that foreign power and a traitor to our Commonwealth of Australia? Pauline Hanson has displayed that she is a lawful and legal traitor to the Commonwealth of Australia and commits acts of treachery against the Commonwealth of Australia by pushing a foreign blue ensign with 7-pointed star on the people. On the people. She serves Zionism and then complains about immigration, being an Australian, being of Australian values, but follows the values of Zionism.
Mass deportations have begun.
The only ones that should be deported are the white people, because no white people actually belong in this country.
So where are you going?
Yourself a season. The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. Is that what a king is? Does the king have an army? Does the king find a line of authority in the Royal Australian militaries, the Navy, the Air Force, the police force, the ambulances, the fire services? If that line of authority exists at law, and we can prove this on the Supreme Court record, why are none of your countrymen working for a foreign power in line of authority to that? It's because they serve something foreign to it. Foreign to it. I have long time holden my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. You all serve a foreign fucking power in our land. You are traitors to the kingdom. You commit acts of treachery in a parliament while serving foreign interests. And that's what I've been doing. Exactly this. Because some of you have started to realise I have been speaking the truth the entire time, while you all took from that truth to play Desi Freeman. And my warning to all of you is, don't play that game. Get some help. You are stupid. You are children with no idea what's going on around you, and you're scrambling for every tidbit to use for yourself, or like Rodney and Wayne, to use to raise money for GAP so that people like Dawn Kelly can attempt to become senators and use that money to become senators. This is the biggest disgrace with Wayne and Rodney is Dawn Kelly. And that links all of the disgrace together, Dawn. You silly muppet. You silly muppet. Links it all together. It displays what you are, who you work with, what's going on, and we could question that muppet Dino who stole everyone's money. Think about that. That's going back almost 10 years now. 10 years of, instead of standing up in who you are as a people, manipulating the rest of your country into giving you money for politics in a fraud party called the Great Australia Party, where the head of that party is a criminal senator. And think about this, because this is where integrity falls into play. And they have no integrity. Do your Dawn Kelly. I will make waste mountains and hills and dry up all their herbs. I will make the river islands and I will dry up the pools. The liquidity pools behind it all that are causing all of your towns to go into demise. All of your homes to become $1 million because the Pope went home, didn't he? The Pope went home, didn't he? And called a debt jubilee, didn't he? Why did he go home? Did you ever think about what actions were created at law that might have attributed to the Pope leaving? Did you ever think about what the Pope was doing here? Did you ever think about what Israel was doing here? Now, if you go and read the Kiskonen case, does it not very clearly state in that record that I spoke about papism and Zionism very clearly, because Matthew Reason of Fixated Persons put that in his statement on the court record 5 years ago, long before all this even started in your faces. So we start to see now the sovereign citizens or the incompetent litigants don't know what's going on around them. I arrest all of you. Yeah, you might have a right to, but did you read the rest of that act? No. A magistrate's not going to run away on you. All you needed to do is walk into the Supreme Court and say, I charge said magistrate, and instruct the Supreme Court to arrest said magistrate under Section 458 of the Crimes Act Victoria. And that judge would have said, stamp his seal, there you go, Sheriff, go and make those arrests. But I arrest all of you. And then there's video of Desi running away from the police. Why are you running? Why don't you just go with them? Why don't you let them commit all the criminal offences while they've got you in custody? And then walk back into the Supreme Court and charge them for all of the offences they've committed while in custody. You don't have brains, is the bottom line. And this is now coming to that point where we describe that and you realise it.
We are grateful to you. Thank you.
Don't thank me and don't say I'm a hero. I'm no hero. I was lucky. I'm here. All the heroes are dead and I'll never forget them as long as I live. All I know is Normandy veterans love one another beyond the love of women. If you was in a hole in the ground with a boat, you've got to know him. Marvellous men. My generation saved the world. And I don't forget any of them.
I will bring the blind by the way that they knew not, that they didn't know. I will bring the stupid through the door with God, a way you've never thought of before as a simpleton citizen of that foreign power administering your lands, like the Goy described in the Bible, the Gentile. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I opened a door for all of you, and instead of walking through the door, look at what you've done, Matthew Aiken and Sue Gaynor. I'll copy all of that and try and be him himself. And what did it say? God said, I won't give it to anyone else. God said, I won't give it to anyone else. We just read those words, right? I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These people are obligated to God, king, country. They are ministers of God. They're obligated to the foundations in the Constitution. And to go outside of those foundations is an act of treason, isn't it? So Matthew and Sue and Dawn, who all consecrated flags to the kingdom, then went on to make money off of all of that and attempt to copy it, therefore disgracing your Anzac and disgracing God. Would that be an act of treason, Dawn? Would that be an act of treason, Matthew? You stood there in Melbourne raising that red in the name of the King.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Actually, it's all right, because translated, fuck yo actually means I'll do it. No. Fuck yo.
Fuck you.
Fuck yo.
Fuck you.
Fuck yo.
These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them, not abandon them. Have I abandoned you in the last 20 years? No. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images. Yeah, you serve that Zionism. Go away. Yeah, you did those things like Matthew and Dawn. Go away. Yeah, you're a sovereign citizen like those Aborigine in the tent embassy. Go away. We have no need for disloyalty among us. That say to the molten images, ye are our gods. Molten images like those badgers, like those badgers, like those badgers. Right? Molten images. Serving pedophile King Charles III and his Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris mates. Serving Prince Andrew the pedophile. Serving Bob Hawke the pedophile. Serving an Epstein client list for Mossad and the CIA. Molten images, molten images, molten images, molten images. Hear ye deaf, and look, ye blind, that ye may see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind? He that is perfect, and blind as the Lord's servant, ? Lord's, all cap. Seeing many things, but thou observest not. Opening the ears, and thou heareth not. We used to have a joke when we were kids. Oh, you're a regular Helen Keller. Deaf, dumb and blind. You can't hear. You can't see. Got no idea what's going on. Deaf, dumb and blind. A regular Helen Keller. The Lord, all caps, is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honourable. Linking it to your foundations in your foundation stone, in the stone of remembrance, linking your Anzac to the Treaty of Versailles and the blood they spilt to make you a Kingdom of Australia back in 1919. Back in 1919. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in the prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth for a spoil, and none saith, restore. A people robbed and spoiled out of their homes by a reserve bank, out of their food bowl by a reserve bank, out of their defence force, out of their military into a defence force.
The IRS used one organization as the model to shove every religion into. And that one organization was the Salvation Army. And they created 14 points and said, this is what the Salvation Army does, so this is what church is. Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, you name it, is tucked into that same 14 points. You need a house of worship. You need a board of elders. You need a creed or a form of worship. You need childcare. It's literally just replicas of the Salvation Army. Today, there's 400,000 churches in the US. You know what else is a church? The Hells Angels. What? Yeah, they're registered as a church. I had someone from the CIA call me a few months ago. They were like, hey Nathan, what do you know about the 14-point checklist? All I know is what the head of the IRS, the nonprofit sector, told me. And they go, okay, good, but it wasn't IRS that created that.
Who was it?
The CIA. And I said, why would they do that? They go, Christianity is dangerous, yes. And I said, yes. And they go, Islam is dangerous, yes. And I said, yes. And so they go, why not put everything into a box that you can control? So the carrot that the government uses to get religion into that box is tax exemption.
Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil, and the sun, the moon, and stars to the robbers? Did not the Lord, all caps, he against whom we have sinned, put our country into debt, keep using a reserve bank going against Section 115 of the Constitution, keep being manipulated out of all of what you are by a foreign moneylender and Zionism that runs your country?
To the Sigmas of Australia, the Gooffier government is still capping, but is anyone surprised? When a risless, oralist, unk Prime Minister is running a show, a chopped government is what follows. It seems like every day they're asking, twin, can I borrow $1? Twin? It's so performative. I'm surprised there isn't a Minister for Labubu's or a Parliamentary Secretary for Dubai Chocolate. One of the issues I've been tweaking about lately is AI safety. Australia has the potential to be peak at implementing this technology safely, but at the moment, there's more AI slop than a Deloitte report. ICL, TSPMOSM, wilted rose emoji. Whenever the government talk about AI, they tell us the incredible productivity lift it offers. At Grok, is this true? Like speed doing a backflip, the attitude is girt, but only the dangerous part. Our government, like Tung 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 Sahur, needs to wield a big stick. To all the industry insiders who suggest that AI should be allowed to train on copyrighted material for free, I only have one thing to say. Sigh down. Some new gens think what I'm doing is click farming, but I'll keep rage baiting until they crash out. So, Sigmas, keep hope posting, keep newing, and keep doing it your best, twin. Those who know. Oh, and 6-7.
For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. No, they just, hand out please. Please, Reserve Bank, more, please, sir, can I have some more, please, sir, can I have some more? Oh, I need to hand out. I'm a sovereign citizen at the Tent Embassy and this new camp in the King's Domain. I need a handout so I can sit here. And you allow it to occur. You all allow that to occur in the disgrace of your Anzac. Therefore, he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger and the strength of battle, and it hath set him on fire round about, yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. You didn't learn your lesson, did you? You didn't learn your lesson about a foreign money lender in your temple. You didn't learn a lesson about the demise of your gold and silver currency in the Currency Act 1965. You didn't learn a lesson about being on Centrelink. You didn't learn a lesson about anything. Please, guys, more tanty with your blue insides. A foreign admiralty flag on your lands, running your government.
This $5 in dimes has been closed since 1953. So that's 50 dimes equaling $5. But the dimes weigh 123.2 grams of silver. 123.2 grams divided by 31.1 equals 3.96 ounces of silver. That's roughly the same amount of silver as in 4 ounces. So you got $5 in dimes over here and $156 in silver over here. But wait a minute. Both of these piles are silver. So now, even though this is $5 in dimes, it's also $156 in silver. Or it would be, but this is only 90% silver. You take 156 and multiply it times 0.9, equaling $140. So now we understand that this pile could be $5 in dimes or $140 in silver. So from the 1950s, this $5 roll is now $140.
Now, and come to the end of this episode, we can see, we get to this point now where you've been told. Someone came to show you a different way, the true way. I did, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And I've watched this stupidity go on and on and on for 20 years to the point where they started calling you sovereign citizens in a bid to combat what I put down on the record. And my word to all of them is, you will fall into the law or you will face the law. That's my word to all those politicians, police, military, and that right Angus Campbell, pusher of a poison. Right? You can see very clearly. I sat with conviction the entire time. I held this up for you for the last 20 years. 20 years. I don't understand what it is that makes you want to be tall, poppy, ego-driven tards that keep trying to scramble for your own selfish. Do you realise now that it's a brotherhood? Do you realise now you have to work together to use the silver? Do you realise that you have to pay each other properly instead of relying on borrowed RBA money that the government is in a national debt for $11 trillion? Is it you that has to realise that you need to jump off that ship? You're blaming the ship that you're on instead of leaving it altogether. You're blaming the ship that you're on for all the problems that the captain of that ship does to you when you're on a ship and not on the land with the gods of your fathers. And it's up to you. We already discussed that. So I can't really read any further until you start to realise something. The last 20 chapters of this walks you through where you need to go, and you're not prepared yet to even start that walk. That's my warning. So, as we move forward, we can look at how we're going to do that.
Holy schmolies! $20.71.
Before tax.
Before taxes, man. What's it made out of gold?
With tax, $22.46.
$22.46. Holy shit! God damn! God damn!
Right, so I sat down to put the last few pieces of this video together, and I got a phone call alluding me to another mob of idiots. I don't know what to say. My whole... You don't want your country back. You don't want to defend in law. You want to try all these stupid things to weasel your way out of losing your home. All these things, you're just getting yourselves into worse trouble, copying this continued garbage that goes around instead of actually changing your own lives for the better. Now, donations down below, but my last comment for today is, have you lost your culture by actually not acting in it every day? While you tanty in the streets at a government, flying a government flag, while you argue with each other, while you play tall poppy over all your law-tarding, and it is law-tarding because you've got no idea what the foundations of your country actually are or were. Right, you're just willing to give them up, both Aborigine and Australia, because in 1967 they were not to be counted because they were sovereign tribal peoples, and some of them reasonably wealthy. Now they're all on Centrelink, like I described. So you've got all these people that are scrambling because they're becoming poor, losing their homes, their businesses. And I warned you all, this is a hard game to play. You don't want to show loyalty in your own cultures, Aborigine or Australian Anzac. You don't want to defend each other like you used to when you lived next to each other in 1960. Right? We're talking about coming forward to 1950s, right? Where you lived in harmony. The king entertained all the tribal elders as their own kings up until 1936. You want to ignore your own history? You want to keep trying this, get out of the system? You don't understand the game at all, do you? You don't understand that a foreign military occupier manipulates your government? You don't want to understand the international laws that surround all of that, that brought the United Nations police into your police forces. You don't want to discuss any of this stuff. You want to circle this continuous law-tard like a bunch of retarded children, and I mean absolute lunatics, to continue this for 20 years, time and time and time again. And then you're not considering in the image of your father and the next generation in the image of what you were as your heritage in those Anzacs. So while you tanty in the streets flying a flag your Anzac never died for, you disregard them, you abandon what it meant to be Australia, you give it up altogether because you argue with a government that is purposely forcing change on you, and you willingly give it up. Now, Aborigine gave up their culture a long time ago, and I mean a long time ago, to wear NIDOC shirts covered in logos. That's not Aborigine. That's a Zionist. That's a Zionist moneylender putting up NIDOC Week to play that culture for 1 week while you go back to Centrelink and drink and abuse each other and do all these things that are not your culture. So have you lost your culture? Well, looking from the outside in, yes you have. You no longer present what you were in 1950 at all. And the same could be said for those that are the lineage of Anzac. You gave that up. You gave it up to play this stupid game. This really stupid game. So hopefully you start to realise something. We are a crown, and we live next door to tribal peoples of lots of different tribes, not just one mob. Not always was, always will be, because that mob over there fought with that mob over there, right? Wadeye, go and Google Wadeye. They turned their killing each other into music battles, which I think is a really good idea. Instead of fighting each other with star pickets and spears, They instead got guitars out and did rock shows at night and battled the bands between each other, which I think was a really good idea. But you've got this Zionist Australia taking their lands for mining and pushing multiple tribes of the bush into Wadeye, which caused the problem in the first place. The Zionists did that to you, not the English or Australian Crown. That needs to come to a realisation. Pitjantjatjara, remember when they fought each other and one had to get on a bus and go across the South Australian border for medical assistance in Adelaide, and at that time the South Australian Premier said they shouldn't be allowed to cross the border for health care, that we needed to check their passports. Think about that, right? So there's two examples of tribes fighting each other, demonstrating that it wasn't always was, always will be. Your towns and your cities are dotted around the country, and all the towns up the Queensland coast all the way up to Thursday Island are military towns. They were put there in defence of those Aborigine tribes that lived all the way up the Cape. Those towns were put there to defend the mainland, which included all those tribes in the Cape, where you didn't really have towns and cities. So this claim that you invaded is wrong. You defended, so they had a right to be sovereign tribes. And this needs to come to a realisation that you're all playing stupid games instead of standing in the capacity that you were given at international law. The United Nations knows what I'm talking about, right? We had United Nations inspectors come and inspect those Zionist-controlled, Freemason-controlled jail cells, and Queensland and New South Wales denied them access, right? You all thought, what's the United Nations doing trying to inspect jails? It's because they're an administrator and occupier of you who have a right of self-determination. And you playing all this stupid copy stuff, I'll get into this meeting that I heard about on a phone call in another episode, because this deserves to come to light. Darren, need a good kick up the arse, mate. What is it with all you 60-year-olds trying to scramble for your own selfish and not considering the 30-year-old kid in a previous video who cried because he can't afford a home, can't have kids, can't make a family in the country that he was brought up in, where he was born, where he has a birthright to exist on this land that wasn't always was. It's his land. He was born here. He has a birthright at international law and a right of self-determination. And all you 60-year-olds that keep playing this stupid lawtard game are doing it for yourselves, not for that kid that deserves to have a home, deserves to bring his own family up in this country, and deserves his children to be able to do the same. You're not thinking about that. And I'd really, really like for you to change your mental attitude in this respect. We don't defend for us. We defend a constitution so that our children can live in the image of us. And that's what the Bible talks about when you're in the image of God. You're in the image of your bloodlines, in the image of your forefathers. So Aborigine need to think, why are we wearing NIDOC shirts everywhere, looking like fishermen with logos all over ourselves in this polyester that was introduced by petro companies? Oil company made shirts instead of cotton or bush-made materials. You've lost your culture. It's gone. Instead, The government flips a coin at you and says, dance for us. And you willingly participate in dancing for a foreign power. Here, I'll flip you a coin. Dance. Right, we've had enough now. Get off the stage. We'll get on with our own stuff now. Thanks for the dance. Here's a couple of coins. Right? That's not you in your culture, is it? That's you pretending and forgetting at the same time. And the same applies to Anzac Australia. You're asking the government permission to be who you are instead of just being who you are and living your culture and your Christian values. You're arguing, therefore giving up your Christian values. You don't go to a barbecue on a weekend and everyone puts a plate on the table like the old days and you all eat the food together, including the guy that didn't bring a plate, because that's who you were as a community. You don't do any of these things anymore. You do everything the corporate world asks you to do. Remember that Australian Tea Party thing right? All corporate. All corporate. You'll be willing to go and do that because they push the corporate shit on the TV at you and change your culture. And you're no longer you. Did you ever think about that part while you played this stupid game? So drop donations in so we can keep teaching you not to lose this stuff. So we can hold that anchor and continue this forward. I proclaimed something in video yesterday and it is a reality on the courtroom record that you can't argue with. And I'm not here to tell you how to be a people. What I am telling you is that you're losing who you were while you keep playing all the stupid law stuff and scrambling for answers, and in doing that, researching the demise of what you once were.
Later this year, we will set out plans to establish a permanent framework for refugee students to come study in the UK so we can help more talented young people fleeing war and persecution to find a better future, alongside capped and managed ways for refugees to work here in the UK.
Suicidal empathy. Suicidal, self-serving, narcissistic empathy. Just giving money away? Yes, they are taking your money away and they are reallocating it to foreigners in order to give them the place that you deserve in the university. And yeah, you do deserve it because your family lived there. They've probably lived there for 100 years, maybe 1,000 years. Yeah, you deserve it. They don't. It's that simple.